I hope you will enjoy my take on the coronation, my interpretations, my opinions from an acting perspective, and how my personal life was triggered today by the lives of the royals. I am quite the opposite of the royals. I am from the other side of the spectrum. I'm from a village in Transylvania, which is a region of Romania. I'm sure people know. I am a proud peasant.
You're my queen.
Thank you. Do you want to do the episode with me?
No.
Like I said, hello everyone. Happy weekend. Happy Coronation Day. This is Mihaela with Art of Experiencing. I wanted to be a little bit celebratory. I decided to wear this crown of flowers. As you know, my channel is always about my analysis of people, real or fictional, using my understanding of acting. I don't know how you felt about the coronation. I've seen a couple of reactions to it. I'm going to talk a little bit about what happened to me while watching it. To my surprise, I have to admit, a little bit emotional. I asked the question, why am I emotional? I have absolutely nothing to do, no linkage to United Kingdom, no linkage to the royals. I'm actually the opposite. I'm from the other side of the spectrum. I'm from a village in Romania. And as I was sitting on the couch watching the coronation, I actually set my alarm this morning because I wanted to see it all. I did see it, but I skipped a couple of moments. I was really moved. And I started to cry, surprising myself by my own emotions. I was excited to see it, excited to see the ritual of it, the spiritual act of it, the beautiful church. Never did I think it was going to move me personally. Never once did I think I was going to be moved emotionally. So as I was sitting there watching it, I started to take self-inventory of myself, as I am trained to do as an acting coach, as an acting teacher, and also as an actress. I started to pay attention to what was the connection and what were the triggers making me so emotional while watching these people who are so far removed from my life, my backstory, my family, my background. And I realized in that moment, one of the things was the fact that it's a spiritual, religious ceremony. My father, in real life, is a priest. He is an Orthodox priest. We are Orthodox Christians. The difference between our religion and the Catholic religion is that in our religion, the priest has to marry. He has to have a wife. So he married my mom. Then they had us a long time ago when I was about 14 years old. My sister was about 12 years old, if not younger. I'm not really sure. My parents decided to leave Romania, to leave the village. We grew up in Transylvania and moved to the United States. They moved to a suburb outside of Detroit in Michigan, where my father worked for a very long time in construction. My mother worked outside of the church. They wanted to be able to build a big community, a big Romanian community, and my dad wanted to build a beautiful Romanian Orthodox cathedral. They were so involved and they were so much of service to others. They took different jobs. The salary from the church was very small. There was no way they could have lived on that. So they took outside jobs in order to be able to give to the community one of the most beautiful Romanian churches in the United States of America. So them together with a community of people, it grew, it grew, it grew. 40 years later, now, my dad was retired 2 years ago. Growing up in Romania, even in Romania as a small child, and then visiting them in Detroit at this beautiful Romanian church they built together with the Romanian community. It was a ritual, it was a tradition for us to go to church. So I grew up, even back in Romania, we grew up around churches. The house of the priest was always on the same property with the church. The cemetery was on the same property. So we grew up around churches. And I think that was what triggered my emotions when I was watching the coronation. When they approached that beautiful church in London, when they approached the beautiful church, the Westminster Abbey, my heart started to pound so much more. And I started to get emotional, not because I have any relation to coronation, not even close, but as a human being with sensitivity and empathy and understanding humanity, I couldn't help but connect the images of the church from London to the many churches from Romania we grew up around, and then to the church that my father and my mom with the community of the Romanian people built. My whole life started to roll in front of me as if it were a movie, and all of these images having to do with my childhood, all of these images having to do with my family, all of the moments of my life, good and bad, became so vivid during the whole time that I was watching the coronation. And then I thought, it doesn't matter if you believe in the monarchy, it doesn't matter if you don't. This ritual of the coronation, to me, was so much more a spiritual act than I had imagined that it was going to be. The service was beautiful. It doesn't matter that I'm a different religion. It doesn't matter that I'm not royal or have anything to do with the royals. When we are watching something that is so specific and foreign to us, but very specific to the people, the act is happening. It becomes universal. All of us watching from all over the world, we are going to be moved in some way. And I thought about this replica of my tiara or crown. I remember that I had placed it somewhere in a bench and I haven't looked at it until a couple of weeks ago when one of my dear friends, we were in Romania at the same time going to university 30 years ago. 30 years ago, we were in Bucharest during the time that the communist regime collapsed, the revolution happened, and Romania became a democracy. Romania became a democratic country. So this was 1989, 1990, 91, 92, 93, 94. I was going to acting school, getting my bachelor's degree. We were on campus, and there were other students from different universities living on the same campus. There was an amazing human being by the name of MONZER, and he went to the university to become a doctor. He then went back home to Beirut, where he's from. I moved to New York after I graduated, and I worked a little bit in Romania as an actress. So we haven't kept in touch for almost 30 years. A couple of months ago, We connected through Facebook, and as I'm sure so many of you connect through Facebook with people from your high school or college years. I found out not only is he an amazing doctor, which I knew, he was a great student, but he's also an artist. He's also a painter. So he chose this beautiful picture of me from his mind, an image that he had of me from 30 years ago. He made this beautiful painting, this beautiful drawing. He sent to me all the way from Beirut, Lebanon. In the picture, without him ever knowing that I have this bouquet crown of flowers, his image of me in his head and the way that he drew me was with this beautiful crown headscarf. That's his image. And now he remembers me in my youth 30 years ago. When he sent that to me, I actually put this on a few weeks ago, and I took a picture to send to him close to the picture of the drawing that he did. All of these significant objects, which at first you might purchase them because you look at them and you like them, like I did with this. When I saw it, I liked it. I said, maybe I'm going to use it at some point for a character that I'm going to work on at the actor studio. I purchased it. Now, because the story around it has to do with my dear friend whom I haven't seen for 30 years from all the way Beirut, imagine me with a beautiful crown on my head and a scarf object, which at first might have had no significance. It has so much more significance because the connection has to do with my friendship with MONZER, Dr. MONZER. It has to do with beautiful experiences during my college years in Romania. It has to do with my childhood. It has to do with moments with my sister, who now lives in Greece, with her beautiful family there. I was so moved to realize things that we might at first find to be strange to us. The royals, the coronation, who can imagine the crowns and the jewelry and the expenses of it all? It's not about that. It's about the rituals. It's about the experiences. It's about the sensory event and how much are you going to allow yourself to live them sensorially. And that's exactly what acting is. Acting informs my life, and life informs my acting. I was watching them. The next moment that really triggered me more specifically. So the first one that I mentioned was the beautiful church. Reminds me of my dad, his lifetime work with my mom together through hardship, all the way from Romania to the United States of America. They worked so hard to be able to provide for us. Like many of you, I'm sure, are understanding life story of immigrants, or you know someone who is. The next moment in the church during the coronation today was when Prince William was asked to go. There's the moment where he gets up from the pew where he was sitting next to Princess Catherine and their beautiful three princes. He goes to pay homage, to take the oath to the king as the heir, as the first in line to become king after his father. He's beautifully dressed as if he were a character. The beautiful father that he is, the beautiful husband that he is, with morals and decency, trying to do good things for the people, for charities. When he goes, and he kneels in front of King Charles, his father, to take that oath, to pledge his oath to him. The moment, which to me was even more significant, it was so personal, was when he goes in to one side and he places a kiss on King Charles' cheek. And I think King Charles said to him, "Thank you, William." Why was that triggering for me? Again, it doesn't make any sense that it would be triggering for me. If you look at the whole event, if you look at the robes they were wearing, if you look at all the beautiful jewelry and diamonds and objects of significance to them that go back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, I don't have anything of that. I have none of it. But what triggered me and what moved me was the relationship between father and son in your lives. Who does not understand a relationship between you and a member of the family whom you respect, whom you love, whom you would do anything for? That personal relationship between the two of them is what moved me. When I watched that, I don't have to think, do I support the monarchy? Do I not support the monarchy? That's not what I'm looking for when I'm watching. I'm watching it as an observer, so I can see how many moments can I find that will make me relate to those moments, that will make me have my own experiences in my head, and then my own film of my own life with my own people starts to roll. So I can better appreciate where I come from, who are the people who were before me in my humble life, in my humble family. I can still be proud of that. And I am very proud of that. I don't have to have the real crown. I can have this beautiful flower crown, which to me is so important because of the significance that it has in relation to my friend from Beirut. We kept in touch, no matter we haven't seen each other for so many years. We kept in touch, and he produced this beautiful gift that reminded me of my younger years when I was there. So I can now, as the older Mihaela, be grateful for those and appreciate them, instead of waking up in the morning and think of the things that I haven't been able to do, or think of the things that are negative about myself and about the achievements that I haven't been able to accomplish. This little crown, due to his drawing, will always put me in a good mood because it's significant due to our relationship, due to our years spent on the same campus during our university years. As an actor, and as a teacher, I'm always trying to learn from, as a teacher, I learn from acting. As an actor, I learn from teaching. So I think I'm much more aware to things that happen when I have experiences, when I walk about, when I watch something. It's become such a training of what I've done for so many years in my life, that training of let me observe, let me take an inventory of what I'm feeling in the moment. Let me clarify in my mind the images that are evoking emotions in me while I'm watching the coronation. I almost take inventory as if I were writing down what's happening every moment of the day, but I'm not thinking about it. The same way that an athlete, a runner, goes out for a run in order to train for the marathon. And once you keep doing it the same way that he or she would do it, you don't think about it so much. You don't have to start from the beginning all the time. And the more that you train, the more physically in shape you become. With actors or acting teachers, the more we train, we do exercises for the soul, as Stanislavski used to call them. The more we train our soul, the more our soul will become open to experience such events as the coronation without being judgmental about the general aspect of it. Do I believe in the monarchy? Are they still relevant in the future? That doesn't concern me when I'm watching what I was watching today. Watching it myself, not knowing that it's going to produce any kind of sensation, deciding that I was curious about what everybody was wearing. I wanted to see all of the working royals there. I wanted to see the religious ceremony. I wanted to see the act of the ointment, the holy ointment act of the king, which was also such a beautiful, intimate, private moment to see the king being disrobed. His robe was taken off. He was left in a white shirt, from what I could see, before he went behind that beautiful screen. I don't know, the image that came to me, it was as if he was going into a confessional booth. You know, that privacy, that intimate privacy that you have with the priest, with God. That also reminded me so much of the fact that as actors, you're being asked all the time to be private in public. That's the whole goal of great acting. That's something that Konstantin Stanislavski, the father of acting, whose system became known all over the world and was adapted in different ways by different gurus of acting. He came up with the term private in public is the goal for the actors. How can you reveal glimpses into yourself as the actor to then bring to the character, which you don't even reveal in your everyday life, in front of public, in front of the public in a theater, in front of the public on set, finally going to be seen on the big screen? How much courage does it take for actors to be able to do that? That was such a private moment for King Charles, even though it was done behind that beautiful altar-like piece, exquisitely delicate. You did not have to see the action of doing it. The fact that he was disrobed from the fancy big robe and he was left in the white, symbolizing humanness at the level of human, because in the eyes of God, we're all equal, the same. What was happening behind it was even more powerful, that we could not see it, because our imagination as the audience watching was already started by the moment right before he went to do the private act of the ointment without being seen by the rest of the people in the church and by the people at home watching. That was a private moment. Private moments or public solitude or private in public are tools that actors use. That actually reminds me of something I was working on as an actress at the actor studio with another actor, a friend of mine. We were trying to work on an improvisation. We were trying to figure out, because the play doesn't reveal where the two characters meet. The play starts somewhere in the middle. They don't really reveal many details. It's a short play. So we were trying to find out what the writer never wrote. We were trying to find out the story of these two individual characters who in the beginning of the play meet. We had a feeling after reading it and working on it for a long time that they must have met somewhere before. They must have met somewhere before. So we decided to go with what is personal to us, to go with something we can understand from our own lives, to put that on the actor studio's sacred stage, to find any more clues of who these characters are beyond what the play tells us. Again, I repeat myself, I've said it in some of the other videos. I don't have a lot of people watching, so it doesn't matter that I repeat them. The actor studio, the actual physical location of the actor studio in New York, used to be a Greek Orthodox church before it became a theater, before it became the famous physical place of the actor studio in the 1950s, 1947, the same religion that I am. It still has the balcony where the choir would have been. It's designed as if the stage is now an altar, the chairs and the pews going around in the balcony as if you were a church. My additional personal understanding of what it's like to be the daughter of a priest, I suggested to my friend, what if before the play begins, my character goes to church to mourn her husband who has passed. The play tells us the husband has passed, my husband has passed. What if he, even though there's no mention of it in the play, what if he, sometime before, maybe a year before, maybe a few months before, he was a priest? It doesn't mention in the play that he is, but we said, let's just use our imagination, go with something that we can specifically work with, because I have knowledge of what a priest would do in the church, having watched my father be of service to so many people for so many years. I'm getting emotional because he retired 2 years ago. And I'm so proud of everything that he's achieved and everything that he and my mom have done. I'm emotional with happy tears, actually. I'm not emotional with sad tears. So I said to my colleague, the actor who was going to portray the other character, let's call my dad in Detroit. This was before the pandemic, some years ago. Can we call my dad and maybe he can direct us to a colleague of his that he knows in New York, and we can borrow some of the robes the priest wear. My dad, of course, he's there for me all the time, supportive, theater, church, theater. He actually wanted me to be an actress. It wasn't the opposite, which would be the most logical thing. Would your father want you to be an actress? Yeah, because I think this goes back to where the priests were the first actors when you go back thousands of years. So he directed us to a priest, and I was able to get the vestments for my colleague friend, the actor. We went over before we got to work in front of the other members of the actor studio in session. We rehearsed a couple of times. So I told them a couple of the rituals, a couple of the services during the Orthodox religion. There's a point where I said to him, I don't know when I'm going to come in to the church. The character, she, from the play, you get a sense that she is a religious person. So I was going to go in for a confession, and I was going to find out that the priest whom I used to go to in the church was no longer, and this is our new priest. And maybe this is the way they met, without, again, having this be written in the play. So I walk in, I go into the confession booth, which we added from the Catholic religion. We don't do the confession booth in our religion. You confess in the altar. The priest waits for the people to go and do confession in the altar, as far as I know, as far as I've seen my father do it. Reverend Father Yuan Mihu. Preotul Ioan Mihuț, that's my dad. We took a little bit from the Catholic religion. We used some of the things, like I said, from my religion. I went into the confession booth, which we set up. I went in there thinking that I was going to confess the way that I'm feeling, lonely since my husband has died, and now I'm a widow, and I feel like I have to maintain some sort of reputation for the rest of the village, and I did not know what I wanted to do with my life. He surprised me from the other side, the separation, the booth, the confession booth, and he was on the other side. And he gave me a look of, I haven't seen you around, madame. I haven't seen you around. And it was so hysterically funny because he was looking at me, not with the eyes of the priest, he was looking at me with the eyes of a man. And I started laughing. That moment was so unexpected. I did not expect him to behave like that. I was expecting him to behave like a priest, and he was going to be very small in his demeanor. But he actually looked at me. I was actually dressed really nicely, and I think I surprised him too by the way that I looked. I looked good. This was some years ago. He looks at me, and the first question when he's asking my name, I start laughing, and I cannot stop laughing. Laughing for real, honestly, not putting on an effort to laugh. I was laughing hysterically. And then the whole audience starts to laugh. I keep on, and then we try to keep the conversation, the confession going. So we realize maybe that's how they met. Maybe they had this connection when they met for the first time in a situation where he was a priest. And they never saw each other after that, because we now found out that that could have been a way that they met. He realized that he has some sort of feelings for this woman, going to give up priesthood to be able to be with her or not, depending on which religion we were going to continue to use, if we were going to add the new discover scenes to the play. That was such a revelatory discovery of these two characters. It was so much fun to do. Truthfully happening in the moment, when he came out after the confession was done, he came out to go to the rest of people. There were other actors on the stage in the church, the way that we set it up, in the imaginary church, in the real church of the actor studio physical location. He went on with the service, and there's one service where the priest, with the holy water, he will start to bless all the people in the church with the holy water. So he learned some of the sermon in relation to that. He was actually doing it. The reason why I say theater and images and the Coronation Act movies are so important to people, even though we know they are happening as acts, they move us to pieces. They move us to tears. They move us to joy. When he was doing the ritual of the holy water, one person, the members of the actor studio, jumped from the seat where she was sitting as an audience member. And she jumped, and she didn't want to be touched by the holy water. She didn't want to be touched by it because she's Jewish. So even though that was a theatrical piece that we were doing, that we were imagining, she felt like she was doing a sin by allowing herself to be rained on with the holy water. The actor, my friend, character who played the priest, was blessing everyone with. That's how important these acts are for everybody. They're important because they remind us all, going back to what I was saying in the beginning, it doesn't matter that you have any understanding of what it's like to be a royal. It doesn't matter that you have understanding of what it's like to be Jewish if you're not, or it doesn't matter that you have understanding or not of what it's like to be Orthodox religion. It doesn't matter. All of these beautiful theatrical, spectacular events, acts, as I like to call them, be open to watching them, not place judgment from the beginning. You will be less of a person if that's what you do. And this brings me, I don't want to mention her too much, but this brings me to Prince Harry, the way that he walked into the church. I felt he was trying to be confident, as if I stand by what I've said about everything. At the same time, he looked like he was trying to make nice salutes to the people that he recognized, people of service from the church. I felt like he was a better person on his own than when he is with his B-list celebrity, Meghan, where he's always having to be concerned about her well-being, physically, mentally, emotionally, in the way that he walks her and looks at her feet because she's trembling, she's not grounded on her feet. That's why she was grabbing onto him from the beginning physically to begin with. She needed him because her feet don't ground themselves, because she doesn't feel grounded. She needed him then to become Duchess, to make it as actress. She never could get signed by big company as William Morris Endeavor before she married Prince Harry. Now she's signed by the same talent agency. So many brilliant actors are signed by, but those brilliant actors were signed without them having to do a different method to marry someone or to depend on someone else to get them there. They depended on this work that I just told you about. They knew to go to train. They knew the real work of actors to get to that top A-lister status where she wants to get to. Those who got there, those are the ones who know this work that I've been talking about during the whole episode. They know what it's like to connect to somebody that is not familiar to you at first. They know not to judge it. They know to be open. Something might spark something inside of them that's going to make them be appreciative of who they are, of where they come from. The same way the coronation affected me, and it gave me inspiration to go and look back into my past and be reminded of my friends, of my father, of my family, my mother, my sister, my boyfriend, and how grateful I am for all of it. She, from the beginning, Meghan, never understood what it is to be an actor. That's why I never called her an actor, because she was not. Someone asked me, well, what makes you an actress? You're not successful. I'm not talking about the successful commercial definition to be placed on what I consider to be a great actor. A great actor understands her role, his role, depending on the situation he or she is in, without judging that situation, without judging the event of that situation. For example, she doesn't want to go to the coronation because she doesn't want to bow. Why not want to bow? Because you bowing and being humble, modest, paying your respect to this beautiful act. You could have paid respect. You could have bowed to the beautiful altar in this gorgeous church where the coronation took place. And you could have asked your God, you could have asked whomever you believe in, the higher power, the universe, life, you should have asked for grace. That's how she should have looked at it. But she doesn't know how to do that because she was never trained as an actress. She doesn't know how to do that. She doesn't know how acting will have taught her how to do that. She wanted to get to this actress A-lister to be signed by William Morris Endeavor the easy way. But it doesn't matter that she got there. It doesn't matter that now they took her on due to her title, because she will never get any further than there. She will still have to come to the realization that she has to go back to training. She has to go back to learning how to be a full human being. That's requiring of her to also be dignified, with empathy, to be respectful, to embrace her past, her family, where she comes from, to appreciate the royals for what they have provided for her. She might, you know how she might? In one of the other episodes, you guys, you have to go see all the other episodes because I talk about all of it. I know at first this seems like it's an acting channel, but it's an acting channel having to do with how acting helps me to interpret people and events in everyday life, fictional mixture of the two. You know what I was thinking would cross my mind? Since they did the interview with Oprah in one of the episodes, I talk about Oprah Winfrey, when she did some of her movies, some were really, really great. I found out she hired the most expensive acting coach to work with her. This is the acting coach that many years ago, when I was going to the master's program with Bradley Cooper, that I always talk about, name dropping. I know my boyfriend's like, oh, again, you're telling the story. Yes. The same acting coach Oprah uses privately to help her with her roles when she gets to work as an actress was our teacher. She used to come as a guest teacher. I can guarantee you, I say it right now, Megan, due to Oprah, Oprah will convince her to start working with the same acting coach. All that Megan wants to do, all that Megan always wanted to do, was to become an actress, not to remain a B-lister. And I'm being nice about that because majority of people call her D-lister. She always wanted to become an A-list actress. She is going to probably take Oprah's advice, because Oprah was in cahoots with them from the beginning. She's probably going to take Oprah's advice. She's going to work with a private coach. That is the only way that she's going to be able to get anywhere to the next step after having been signed by this talent agency. If she doesn't do that, she will remain the same B-list celebrity. You can have, in my opinion, you can have the biggest agency, you can have the biggest PR people. If you do not do the work, if you do not continue to understand that you need to keep working on yourself to better yourself, you don't evolve. You stay at the same level. It doesn't matter who comes and tries to help you. You got to help yourself. You have to want to help yourself first. I hope everybody enjoyed the coronation. I did. I thank you so much. And I please ask you, if you want, of course, please subscribe, please like, please share. I'm trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. So please, I thank you. Have an amazing coronation weekend. Thank you. Kisses.